How is Texas A&M going to perform away from Kyle Field this season?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. On the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking a little bit of baseball at the tail end for a couple minutes. Going to give a small little preview and want to get some thoughts, and we'll have a bigger preview for the season here in a little while. Going to talk about the Aggies' win over Oklahoma last night on the hardwood. It was a big one. You needed to win that one. Going to talk about the rest of the season for basketball as well. But we're going to start the show talking about how Texas A&M might perform away from Kyle Field next season. So last season, Texas A&M, of course, played 6 games away from Kyle Field. You played at Florida. You played a neutral site game with Arkansas. You played at Mississippi State, at South Carolina, at Auburn, and the neutral site bowl game with USC. In those 6 football games, you went 3-3 with wins over Florida, wins over Mississippi State, and a win over Arkansas. You lose to Auburn, South Carolina, and you lose the bowl game to USC. You know, the win over Florida, while Florida wasn't playing, Florida ended up playing some good football after that game. At the time, Florida was not playing good ball. And, the narrative was there. The narrative of this football team, this program, struggles on the road. Once again, kind of piggybacking off of yesterday's conversation on Locked On Aggies of changing the narrative around this football program. A big reason why Texas A&M struggled on the road, I think partially had to do with Jimbo Fisher and his coaching. I don't think it was the best. Then, of course, Coach Elko was looped in, as he was with the whole narrative we discussed yesterday, with the narrative of this team struggles away from home. Goes on the road and beats the Florida Gators in the 3rd game of his tenure, first SEC win of his tenure, first, Power 4 win of his tenure. It was a big win. And of course, it was a game where Marcel Reed played for you, and he was lights out, I thought, for the most part. I think he was pretty darn good in that win. Winning football games away from home is what is the measure of a good team to a great team. I mean, if you go 2-2 on the road and 4-0 at home, 6-2 is not going to cut it. You know what I mean? That's just the reality. You have to be able to win games on the road, and you have to be able to win games at home. And you have to be able to win games on the road that aren't gimmies. I mean, besides the Florida game, Mississippi State game was a gimme. Auburn was a bit of a tougher game. South Carolina was a tough game. You lose both of them. So, I mean, just knowing this, you have to find a way to play good on the road. Next year, you play at Notre Dame. You play at Arkansas, no longer a neutral site. At LSU, you have to go play at Missouri. You have to play at Texas. I mean, the SEC schedule on the road this year, comparative to last year, is going to be a lot more challenging. Going to play in Baton Rouge, never fun. Going to play Notre Dame on the road is not going to be fun. Even Missouri, I mean, I've talked about how I'm not fully bought in on Missouri right now, but I mean, they're going to be okay. They're not going to be just a walkover, type of game. So knowing that, I mean, to me, this Texas A&M football team has got to be good away from home. The good news about this is the Aggies have a quarterback in Marcel Reed who is now a little bit more experienced than he, last year. Last year, even if you really think about it, Connor Wigman wasn't all that experienced playing on the road. Marcel Reed wasn't all that experienced playing on the road. Marcel Reed got his fair share of learning to play away from home. Of course, he plays in that game at Florida. He plays in the game against the South Carolina Gamecocks and the Auburn Tigers. He gets some experience in those road environments. This year, of course, on the schedule, it's also a lot more challenging than last year. And that's a little scary. I mean, I think being 3-3 away from Kyle Field last year, knowing that the losses came to 3 teams I think you should have probably beat, maybe not South Carolina, I guess. I think that record's a little frustrating, but we won a game on the road. I mean, Jimbo Fisher hadn't done that in 15 years. And that is what matters to me. I was really, that Florida game to me, I was really darn proud of this team, the way they went and showed up. And I mean, like I said, now you got to go to Texas. You got to go to Missouri. You got to go to Notre Dame. You have got to go play a lot of good football teams. You got to go to Baton Rouge, of course. You got to go to Arkansas. I'm not as worried about that. I think their quarterback's pretty good, but we talk once again. I think that in a sense, yesterday's conversation kind of molds into today's conversation. But for the most part, we can't keep saying, well, we went 6-2 in SEC play, and we just missed on the bowl. We just missed on the playoff, but it was a fun season. We can't keep saying that. And in all honesty, you're probably going to have to go. I would realistically say that you're going to have to go in those road games against Notre Dame, when you go to play Notre Dame, and when you go to play Arkansas and LSU and Missouri and Texas. I'd say realistically, you're going to have to go worst case scenario 3-2 in those games, and you're going to have to win all your games at home to overachieve. And that's my point. A lot of people will hear me say, well, we need to see Texas A&M go 11-1 or 10-2 to make a playoff, and that's crazy. It might be crazy. But at the end of the day, if this team doesn't do that, then we aren't a good football program. They have to start overachieving, and it's going to start this year by doing well on the road. And I was pleased with what Coach Elko did on the road last year. I really didn't. And when I say on the road, obviously Arkansas doesn't fully count, and the bowl game doesn't fully count. But, I mean, you have to find ways to overachieve. And this year, it's going to be going to win road games where you're going to be underdogs. You are not going to be supposed to win a lot of these football games on the road. So that has to happen for this program to take a step to the next level. And I mean, like, if you asked me right now and you said, Andrew, don't overhype, be honest, I'd say we realistically probably lose in Austin, and we realistically probably lose in Baton Rouge. And we realistically probably lose in South Bend. That's just honest. I think we beat Arkansas on the road. I think we beat Missouri. But you're going to have to find a way to at least win one of those games that you probably should lose based on offseason projections and stuff like that. You have to win one of them. If you don't win one of them, you're just putting yourself in a spot to not succeed. So, for me, that's got to be the reality for this football program. You have to find ways to win games when you aren't playing at Kyle Field. Winning in Kyle Field, it should be something that you do a lot. You have an incredible atmosphere. You have probably the best atmosphere, of course, as I often say, in all of college football. It shouldn't be hard to win in front of that atmosphere. It is a little more challenging to win in front of road environments. So, want to see this team do well on the road this year. What is your prediction, knowing those are the road games? What will Texas A&M's record away from home be next season? Let me know that in the YouTube comments. The basketball team was able to take down the Oklahoma Sooners on Tuesday night. We're going to talk about this game thoughts on it, and kind of talk about the rest of SEC play for the Aggies coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to talk about our friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59, and of course, the Locked On Podcast Network. So the Aggies host the Oklahoma Sooners and win this basketball game 75-68. It does absolutely blow my mind that this Goodine kid, let's see what's the official per game. So he, again, in 2 games against us, he scored 58 points. So he's averaging, is that right? 58 divided by 2? Y'all know I can't do math. Yep, 29 points against us. Well, yeah, that does make sense. 29 points a game against us in 2 games. And once again, this is a kid that is averaging, he's now averaging 8.4 points. Before last night, it was 7. So let's just hope we don't ever have to see Bryson Goodine again, because he is evidently the Aggie killer despite them being 0-2 against us. So in this ball game, you get double digits from every starter. Really, really love seeing that from this team. Payne gives you 10 points on 4 of 4, a double-double for him with 11 rebounds. Henry Coleman gives you 14 points on 3 of 5 shooting, 6 rebounds for him. 15 points from Zurich Phelps, another inefficient night for him, 3 of 12, but 15 points nonetheless. Wade Taylor goes 3 of 9 for 12 points, and Manny Obaski goes 4 of 11 for 10 points. Wilcher on the bench gives you 3 points, played 14 minutes. I like seeing that. I want him to shoot the rock more. Jace Carter gives you 2 points. Not a great night for him, 1 of 8. 2 of 4 from Garcia, 9 rebounds, 12 points. So I was quite happy with this performance. Oklahoma is the team that they haven't had the best start. They lose to Alabama, us, Georgia, and Texas to kick off SEC play, but they won 2 games in a row. They were coming in feeling pretty good about themselves, and we shut that down. Love seeing that from this team. So looking at, the rebounding in this game, once again, they had 2 offensive rebounds to our 21. That just, you deserve a round of applause, claps for that. That is incredibly impressive. I mean, just so proud of this basketball team and the way that they rebound the ball. Let's go check on the NCAA website and see where we are on rebounding. Now, we got to be number 1, right? No, we got to go to team rebounding per game. So offensive rebounds per game, we are officially number 1 at 16.71 offensive rebounds per game. So impressive. We are also, when it comes to just flat out rebounding, overall rebounding, we are number 6 in college basketball, 42 rebounds per game. We have 351 offensive rebounds this season. I'm scrolling. There are not a lot of teams that have more than 300. This is really impressive. And once again, for those that say, Texas A&M is a team that just does not score the ball well, for those, I'm sorry, I was pulling up Ken Palm to check offense. This is why my brain blanked. For those that say Texas A&M, the rebounding is not a fluke. Buzz Williams is elite when it comes to coaching offensive rebounding, and it's a big deal. It's why this team's good. So Texas A&M currently in KenPom sits at, Texas A&M is 18th in, I said Texas Tech as a psalm, I think. Did I say Texas Tech? We are 18th in KenPom, 37th on offense, and 8th on defense. If rebounding was a thing, we would be number one in that category. It is such a big part of basketball in general, and we are so good at it. So, as we sit in the standings right now, Texas A&M is currently tied for, it would be, we're, I guess, alone technically in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 5th place, we have the same amount of wins as Florida and Missouri, but they have one less loss because we played 8 games to their 7. I believe Missouri plays tonight. Not sure. I know Florida does not. This is their bye. So we're right there to be. Now, do I see us, we've lost 3 games. Auburn's lost 0. Do I see us catching Auburn? I'd say that's pretty unlikely. Do I see us working into a potential number 4 overall seed, top 4 seed in the SEC tournament in Nashville? Yes, I do see that happening. We are now done in the month of January. Of course, in our 8 games in January, we went 5-3, which I will take that all day long, especially in this conference. In February, we have 7 games. You go to South Carolina, you go to Missouri, Georgia at home, Arkansas at home, at Mississippi State, Tennessee at home, Vandy at home. I'm going to go ahead and predict these games. I'll predict the 3 games in March as well. But I think we go on the road and beat South Carolina. I think Missouri's a tad bit overrated. I think they're good. They are better. Congrats to them for turning around from being winless last season in the SEC to having a 5-2 record as we see it right now. Seriously, good job, Coach Gates over there. That's impressive stuff. But I still just don't think that they're elite. I think they're good. I still think we beat them on the road. So I do think we win our next 2 road games. We have our bye week after the South Carolina game, which we've got some injuries, so that's good to hear. I think we win at Missouri. I think we beat Georgia. I think we beat Arkansas. I'd say we lose at Mississippi State. And then I think we beat Tennessee at home, and I think we beat Vandy at home. I mean, Tennessee plays a very similar style of basketball to us. They're great defensively. They're the number 1 team defensively. We are a better rebounding team than them. But they do a pretty good job. I watched them last night against Kentucky. They do a good job on the offensive glass. And same thing with Vandy. I think at home we're going to beat Vandy, although good for them for, getting ranked, and that's impressive. I'd say we lose at Florida. I'd say we lose to Auburn at home. I think they're just incredible. And then I would say that we beat LSU on the road. So I think that we go in our final 10 games. I think we can go 7-3 and go 13-5 in SEC. I mean, I really do. Hold on, that math's not right. Because we went 5-3 in January in SEC play. I think that we're going to lose to Mississippi State in this month. So we're going to go 6-1 in this month. And then I think we're going to go 1-2 in March. So that'd be 3, 4, 5, 6 losses to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 wins. So 12-6. I think we're going to go 12-6 in SEC play. I think that 12-6 will get us a top 4 seed in both the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. I believe we'll be a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament if I had to bet on it right now. I really like that starting lineup from last night with Obaseki and Phelps and Wade Taylor. I know that those 3 can be inefficient at times, but it gives you the most firepower on offense. So I'm a big fan of that. So I'm really excited to see how this unit ends up. Like, are we going to keep Hefner out of the lineup? Like, what are we? How are we going to use this starting lineup? Because I really liked last night's. I'll be honest with you. We're going to talk a little bit of Texas A&M baseball just here for a second. We'll do that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. Those of you that are new to Locked On Aggies might not know how much I love baseball. Baseball is my thing. I played in college. I absolutely love baseball. I love Texas A&M baseball. They're damn good. I love this team. You know, so here's a Baseball America breakdown. So they, we've got, of course, Coach Sloss moves to where. We keep Coach Early. I love that hire, in all honesty, because I think it kept a lot of your players around. And I really, really love that. So looking at this, this preview here talks a lot about Prager and Grahovac and Lampkin and Caden Kent and Jace Laviolette, of course. And some of your transfers, Gavin Cash, who I think is going to be darn good. Of course, it talks about losing Eschenbeck and Appel and Cortez and Montgomery. But at the end of the day, this baseball team is going to be the number one team in the rankings to start the year next year. Your SEC schedule is, a bit tough. You open up SEC's play with Alabama at home, who's going to be a good team. You go to Vandy. That'll be a fun series. You host Kentucky, who made the College World Series last year. You go to Lindsey Nelson to play Tennessee. You host South Carolina. You go to Arkansas, always tough. You go to Texas, who's now in the SEC, for a tough rivalry series. You host LSU. You host Missouri. You go to Georgia. I mean, it's not the easiest schedule because it's SEC baseball, which is basically training camp for the MLB. But, I mean, I think you have the best player in all of college baseball in Jace Laviolette. I think he has a chance to hit. I think he could hit. I mean, I think he could hit a ton of bombs this year. I don't know. I'd have to look historically what a great season is. But I think he can outdo his numbers from last year. So I think he's going to have a great year. I think he did a great job in the portal. Coach did a great job of holding players around. This baseball team's number one. I'll tell you this right now. And I'll end the show today saying this. I believe Texas A&M's baseball team is not only the best team in college baseball, but I believe they are going to win the NCAA, to win the College World Series. They're going to win the championship. And I think they're going to be the best team in college baseball by a wide margin. I think they're that good. I think this team is that good. Your staff is that good. Pitching staff, coaching staff. This team is darn good. They're going to win it all. Staking my name to that claim this second. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank y'all so much for being here every single day. We'll have more baseball talk, of course, when we get closer. Game 1 is coming on Valentine's Day. For those of you people who are single like myself, we will be watching that baseball game. There you go. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and we will see y'all tomorrow on Thursday right here on Locked On Aggies.